Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, and tonight, whenever the heck you're watching this, we are getting into Buffalo Trace products and the bottles you should buy instead of hunting allocated bottles. So one thing this video will not be is me crapping on Buffalo Trace products. Quite frankly, most of these Buffalo Trace products you're going to see here are bottles I actually enjoy and are still on my shelf for one reason or another. That being said, I did go out of my way to hunt these bottles down and find them when there's quite a few bottles that sit on the shelf that I think are at the same level, if not better, for a better price. So why would you go out of your way to get a bottle just because someone says it's dope when there's way better stuff out there? So today I'm basically covering each one of my Buffalo Trace allocated bottles, and the bottles I would say are just as good, if not better. But before we do get into this video, please do me that favor, like, comment, subscribe. Also, a word from our sponsors. This video is brought to you by Zbiotics. If you have ever skipped the gym after a night of drinking, just like I do about every single week right after my live streams, well then you need Zbiotics. Zbiotics pre-alcohol probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Zbiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut, where you need it the most. Just remember to drink Zbiotics before you drink alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Try Zbiotics for yourself today. Go to zbiotics.com/tipsy, use a QR code down there, and use the code TIPSY at checkout to get 15% off on your first order. Also, Zbiotics is 100% money back guaranteed. So if for whatever reason you are unsatisfied, they will refund you, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/tipsy and use the code TIPSY at checkout to get 15% off your first order. Thank you again, Zbiotics, for sponsoring this video, but let's get back to it. We're gonna start from ground zero of Buffalo Trace and go up to those harder to find, more allocated ones. And we're gonna start off with the one that I actually don't really have to hunt and just kind of shows up on my shelves, and is my Summer Porch Pounder. It's an honorable mention. It needs to be on this list, and that is just standard Buffalo Trace. Ain't nothing wrong with this thing. Super easy, super sweet. I actually really do enjoy this, as I think the sweet, easy Buffalo Trace 90 proof just goes so well in summer. Leave this SOB in the freezer, pull it out, you're good to go. This stuff's relatively easy to find at like grocery stores and stuff here, so I think it's a still pretty solid bottle. That being said, there are quite a few bottles that just sit on the shelves that I honestly think are just as good, if not better, for that $25, $30 you can find this Buffalo Trace for. And those two that come to mind, Elijah Craig Small Batch, gonna be a little bit nuttier, a little bit more aggressive than your Buffalo Trace. Maybe every bourbon you don't want to be super duper complex, but I do think it has quite a bit more complexity than Buffalo Trace, as well as 1792 Small Batch. The bottle I really hate the design of because I hate the stupid gaudy gold plastic cork garbage. Just like the previous one, it's going to have a little bit more complexity, a little bit more nut, a little bit more of a banana-y type characteristic. But again, another $25, around 90 proof. Yeah, 93.7 proof. Just really, really easy sipping bourbon. That's really, really easy to find. And up next, we're getting into those ones that start with a W. www.weller.com. So, Weller Special Reserve. This one I just actually recently got, and that's about as much as I've drinking out of it, because turns out don't like this bottle. I don't know. Again, I'm not a huge wheated bourbon fan myself, but that being said, there is a wheated bourbon that I actually don't have, but is in that same $25, $30-ish range as this one. That is better in my opinion, and I don't actually have that bottle, but we'll use this as a fill-in. Larceny, it's a little bit better than the Weller, and the reason I don't really have a standard offering is because I think that's also just a kind of nuttier, crappier wheated bourbon, but it's still better than that Weller. I would rather buy Wild Turkey 101 every day before I bought that Weller Special Reserve ever again. But getting away from a Weller that I do not really care for and getting into one I actually really think is good, and the reason I haven't had a lot of it is because I had to go through a whole journey to get this. I waited out line to get this bottle. I mean, I was hoping to get something a little bit better by waiting in that line. That being said, still a really, really good bottle. Weller 12, a 12-year-old wheated bourbon. This is really, really good. It has a nice little bit of oak, has some nice apples. I got it for like 45 bucks or something like that, maybe closer to 50. So it's really good, and I got it for a really, really good price. Like I'm happy with this. I'm happy with what I spent for it. I'm not really in love with what I had to do to get it in my hands. I didn't love having to wait out in the cold, but I still really, really do like it. And the bottle I would rather buy instead of this now, knowing what I do know now, hindsight's 2020, which if you've seen this video before, it makes sense. Maker's 46. I did a video where I put these two together, or these two against each other, a head-to-head. This bad boy came out on top. And the main reasoning why I put Maker's 46 out over the Weller 12, because I do actually think the Weller 12 flavors are a little bit better. I like them a little bit more. I like that appleiness. I like the little bit of darkness and oak. It was the mouthfeel. This one was clearly a younger tasting product, but that being said, it had a phenomenal, thick, viscous mouthfeel comparatively, so it really, really stood out, and it made a way more enjoyable drinking experience than I had on that Weller 12. Again, both really, really good bottles, but that Maker's 46 I can find for like 30 bucks in my area, readily available on the shelf no matter what. Maybe not in that dope bottle anymore, but I can still find it. Moving away from wheated bourbons, but getting the age-stated products. Eagle Rares. Another one, honestly, very similar to, I'd say, like the Buffalo Trace, except for harder, way harder to find for me than even that Buffalo Trace. These aren't ridiculously hard. I can find them, but that being said, they're not readily available or super easy to find. I do have to go out of my way to find them, and usually I'm paying $40 to $50 for them nowadays, when I honestly really do think this is a $35, maybe $40 at most. You know, that might just be me kind of minimizing how good Eagle Rare is, because I know a lot of people love this. I just don't personally love this bottle that much, but that being said, I have had some really good ones. Two bottles I would rather have over the Eagle Rare because I like the flavor profiles better, and I just like that I don't have to hunt them down. Bullet Bourbon 10-year-old, as well as Russell's 10. Currently, I don't actually own a Russell's 10, but just imagine I'm holding a Russell's 10 right here. 10-year-old Russell's, 10-year-old Wild Turkey juice. Imagine it. Wild Turkey 101, if you watered it down to 90 proof, but then aged it for 10 years. Really, really good bottle for like the $35 it's for. I'm not like really in love with these 10-year-old 90 proofers. I'm a proof horse, so that could just be me, but I'm not really in love with either of these. I just think these two, and again, imagine a Russell's 10, are a little bit better than Eagle Rare for the same price, but a way better availability. Like, this is so easy to find. This is in grocery stores everywhere. Bullet 10-year-old, really, really solid 10-year-old 90-ish proof product. Yeah, it's 91.2, so a little bit over 90, but still, I wish they were all just 10. I mean, again, you've heard plenty of gripes about, you know, me wanting Russell's 10 to be 101 proof before, because I just like some proof. I like some, you know, sickness with the thickness, if that works. But now, getting into proof, and honestly, probably one of my favorite bottles when I first started getting into whiskey, E.H. Taylor. E.H. Taylor small batch. The only E.H. Taylor I've actually been able to find, unfortunately, but I really like this bottle. I used to. I'm going to asterisk this with that. I used to be able to find this for like 50 bucks. Super freaking easy, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Now, not so much. It's hard to find this. I still do think this is really, really good bottle for like that 55 bucks if you can find it there. But I know a lot of people do have to hunt it, and usually when they do find it, they find it for over $50. So is it worth over $50? I would at most probably pay like 60 bucks for this. I know I'm a little bit on the cheaper side, but you know, I wouldn't hunt this bottle. I wouldn't really pay over 60 bucks for it. So what is another bottle that I would rather buy over this? That's also bonded, because you need a bonded bottle to replace a bonded bottle. And for me, that is none other than Wilderness Trail Bottled and Bond Ride Mash Bill. I love Wilderness Trail. I consider like E.H. Taylor Buffalo Trace to be kind of like a powdered sugar. The darkness on this is kind of like a brown sugar. There's a little bit of darkness in it, and I like this one a whole heck of a lot more. And this stuff is readily easy to find at like $49.99 in most areas. And there are a dozen other bonded bourbons that are kind of in the same realm that are literally just as good, if not better. And the last allocated Buffalo Trace product I have, I don't know why I keep on saying allocated. They're all freaking allocated because they have the name Buffalo Trace. But the last Buffalo Trace product I have in my collection that I actually really love this, I wish I could find more of these, Stagg Junior, also known as, we'll call it Baby Stagg now. Love this bottle. This is a 130.2 proof one that I got for like $100, I would say like 2.5 years ago. And yeah, obviously I've been milking it. Like, this is a celebratory pour for me. This is a, I really, really like that bottle. I really like it for the $100 I bought it for. At the time, it seemed a little overpriced in my opinion. That being said, with the way that, you know, prices have gone up, totally okay with paying $100 for a Stagg nowadays. I would probably go 125, maybe 130, but that might be like my inner like allocation kind of taking over. So what are two bottles that are easier to find in my area? And I hate to say this, but there are a plethora of, just like the E.H. Taylor, there are a plethora of other bottles out there, but these are the two that come to my mind when I'm like, Stagg killer. What is something that can go toe-to-toe with a Stagg? And in my mind, I'm going, obviously, barrel proof. Some of my favorite bottles out there. I get usually around 2 of the batches a year. Why do I not get all 3? Don't know. Just the luck of the draw, maybe. I, for some reason, have luck with finding 1, maybe 2, and then I can usually get duplicates of 1 or 2 batches, but I never get all 3 for some reason. It's like trying to collect all the Pokemons and you can never get them. But I love these. These are, I call it bougie peanut butter cups. Again, different kind of flavor profile than you're going to get on a Buffalo Trace type product, because that is very grapey, but there is a really solid like oaky darkness on the Stagg Junior I have that kind of matches the 12-year-old age statement on this. And another one, also a little bit harder to find, Old Forester single barrel proofs. And as well as I'm going to put in like a kind of asterisk, Jack Daniel's single barrel proofs. Whichever one's easier to find. I think Old Forester matches a little bit better because there's a darkness on Old Forester that you don't see on the Jack Daniel's. But these are kind of like nutty banana sundaes with some darkness. These match really, really well with what I get on the Stagg Juniors, honestly. I would like interchangeably place like that one's a little bit more of a brighter fruit, grape, a little bit sweeter. This is a little bit more nuttiness and a little bit more banana, but they're both honestly really interchangeable, and that's like $80, which is a fair price for that nowadays. If you can find Stagg at $80, readily available, easier, that's a go-to as well. But that being said, there are so many really good products out there just sitting on the shelves. Don't go hunting. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Don't go hunt. I mean, hunting's kind of fun. So like you can hunt every once in a while. It's your money. It's your time. But again, a lot of really good stuff out there. So I don't think you need to waste your time. And if I could go back and, you know, speak to my younger self who was just getting in the bourbon game 3-4 years ago, I would say, hey, Steven, don't go sit out line for hours in the cold just to get a Buffalo Trace bottle that you're not really going to love all that much. Take your time, your money, somewhere else. Apply it to a different kind of bottling. Just because it doesn't have the same prestige and the same big box name brand doesn't mean that it is not just as good, if not better. So do us that favor, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below what you thought about my video, what you thought about my list. What would be a bottle that you would replace hunting a Buffalo Trace product with? And did you disagree with anything I brought out there? I know there's some kind of tension or aggression with people when it comes to hunting and Buffalo Trace products. So, I might have rubbed someone the wrong way, but these are just my opinions again. Also, check out the Facebook, Instagram, Patreon. Links for everything are down there below. That is a wrap. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you later.